check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Is this thing on?
Yeah, that sounds right. Now that the rain screen is installed over the exterior insulation and the exterior trim is installed over the rain screen, I can nail some siding to the wall. Specifically, I'm using Truexterior shiplap siding from BORAL. It's a polyash product that is dimensionally stable and rated for ground contact, which is a good thing because there's a little bit of rot here and there on the old siding. We opted to paint the siding before nailing it to the wall because it'll never be easier to paint than when it's on the sawhorses. After painting and before nailing, we did some testing to choose the best way to deal with the exposed fasteners. So I nailed a test piece to the test wall to test how to hide those fasteners. We decided that painting the nail heads was not the approach we wanted because even though they'd be a brilliant shade of yellow, they'd still be kind of visible. Instead, we opted to countersink the nails slightly and fill the holes. The whole filling the nail holes thing put a little wrinkle in the finishing process, but not much. The first patching compound I turned to was Bondo because I've used it many times and it always works. But with a couple of coats of white paint on the trim stock, red Bondo didn't go over so well with the painter. First, it would require sanding, and second, we weren't really sure how the touch-up would blend. So I went searching for a different kind of filler, a white one preferably. The construction message boards seem to agree that 3M's fiber-reinforced exterior spackling works well on all BORAL products, so I opted for that. At the end of the day, we decided to prime and first coat all the trim and expect to second coat everything up in the air. So with a plan of action, I headed for the money wall. Part of the focus of this series is working alone because we developed the series as a response to the COVID shutdowns, social distancing, and labor shortages. The siding is a little bit brittle and can break if you bounce the long pieces around, but a 16-foot piece of siding can certainly be handled by a single person. It's recommended to carry it on its side rather than flat. Holding both ends against the wall is a little bit more challenging, but that's one advantage to the pre-rabbeted trim boards and the shiplap shape. Tucking one end behind the rabbet holds the end in place and the shiplap notch holds the bottom. It's actually quite possible to install a wall of siding solo. Even installing this board, which didn't have a rabbet to tuck the end into, I was able to install a full 16-foot piece alone because of the shiplap seat. The siding comes with two sides, wood textured and smooth, and you can get nickel gap or shiplap for either surface. Once again, it's a pretty smooth operation to do solo, but one of the tricky parts is running under the windows. The window stool that came with my trim package has a rabbet along the bottom to hide the cut edge of the siding. This provides a clean look after it's installed, but the foam and rain screen drainage mat allows for a little compression, so slipping the siding behind the stool rabbet isn't always as smooth as you think it's going to be. That, coupled with the siding needing to tuck into the corner rabbet, it can be downright challenging. My solution was to break the siding somewhere under the window splicing with a scarf joint over a stud. I would run the ends longer than needed and then trim to fit after I was convinced that the scarf joint was perfect. I could then cut the end for length, slide the window end into the window pocket, and bend the far end out enough to slip it into the corner pocket. As long as I had my ladder in this one spot, I continued all the way up the wall to the top of the window. Fastening specs for 6-inch Truexterior boards are 2 nails into each stud for horizontal applications. You can also install the boards vertically, in which case you can't put 2 nails into each stud because studs also run vertically. In that case, the spec is 2 nails into the wall sheathing every 12 inches. After running up that side of the window, I moved over to the other side and did the same thing. On this section of wall, I was still expecting to run a continuous freeze board along the top, but I changed my mind after trying it, stepping back and looking at it. It just seemed a little too blocky, so I switched to head casings and drip caps. When 2 windows are really close to each other, like here, it may make sense not to use rabbeted trim on one of the windows because the short boards can't bend like the long ones do. So that's what I did here, running up the wall to the tops of the windows. To finish out the money wall, I installed head casings and ran siding up and over, butting up almost tight to the soffit, where a backing block that's a little thicker than the siding holds a trim piece out just a little bit proud, which allows ventilation air to escape. Now that the money wall is complete, I can get to the harder stuff with the camera off.
It sound right, boy.